from the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing. This is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report. We're here counting down the top 10 things of the week that make us go wow. I am Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined, as always, so excited, with Tom Campbell.
Howdy, howdy.
And James St. James.
How do you do? How do you do?
And, of course,
hello, darlings.
Let's jump in, starting where we always start. Number 10.
Number 10.
Megalopolis, which some people are calling a flopolopolis. Which I just like to say, flopolopolis. It feels like a Sesame Street character, right? Megalopolis, if you don't know, is Francis Ford Coppola's. He's been working on this for decades. He spent his own money, hundreds of millions of dollars.
2 red flags right there. If you can't get it done in a year, it ain't worth it. And if you have to spend your own money, it ain't worth it.
Says James St. James. How long did it take you to write Body Monster?
It's taking me 20 years to do Killer Grandpa. So I know whereof I speak.
Yes, you are. You guys are in the same category. I said, anyway. So it stars Adam Driver, Shia LaBeouf, Jon Voight, many, many more. It is a fable. And I never have really seen all of Fountainhead, the Ayn Rand movie, but it's about Adam Driver plays like a brilliant inventor architect. It's set in like a surreal future. There's the Chrysler building, all that kind of stuff. And there's just this, bacchanal behavior and orgies and what? Did I say it wrong?
No, you didn't. I'm just like architecture orgies.
Yes.
Yes. That's what I was saying. This is Fenton written all over it. It does kind of.
I wish we had all seen it because we'd have such a better. You guys have such better references than I do. But it's completely insane. Someone says it's a mess of a masterpiece. It's opera in extremis, and some people love it, and some people don't. The reason I went is because my friend Abe Sylvia had posted this New York Times article that said, in this age where everything is so formulaic, the Marvel movies, there's exceptions, but most of them are just so loud and disgusting.
And unless it's an established IP or whatever that's
yes.
Called.
And they're saying it's great curse that Francis Ford Coppola put up his own money. It's like, good for him for putting his money where his mouth is. He's like 80 something years old and he wanted to make art. And this is the way he could make art. So I went with that spirit. It didn't stay with me, but it does not, you are not distracted from the screen for an iota. So much happens. And it's the struggle between kind of people that want to push into the future and build and make cities that are organic and grow with people and make life better. And the sort of the power of the mayor, fill people with fear, keep them in their place. Police are brutal and all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't even begin to tell what it is. And there's a love story between Adam Driver and the female lead, who's the daughter of the mayor. So
Is it set in a sort of non-specific time period? Like, would you say it's set in the past, in the future, or sort of future?
It's set 10 minutes in the future, or and it's but again, New York is called New Rome, but we're in, like the first scene is Adam Driver jumping off the Chrysler building where I think he lives, and then pulls himself back. He has this special power that he can stop time. I don't understand. And there's a quote that is quoted that's supposedly from Marcus Aurelius. I don't even know who that is. See how and it goes, the object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. Now, somebody pointed out, and this is hard without looking at it, but to escape, finding oneself in the ranks of the insane, or but to escape finding oneself in the rank of the insane. What does it mean? Even that I'm not clear about.
Fabulous.
And then somebody said that's not really his quote. They're misquoting him. So I
well, he was a Roman emperor. That I can tell you.
Okay.
Thank
you, Google.
Adam Driver usually picks really fascinating movies and is usually not wrong in his picks. So that gives
it's an actor's delight. I mean, it's not like it's people are chewing up the scenery. Shia LaBeouf has this incredible character
that's an odd choice. I thought he was canceled.
He's in drag. He's always different. He's like the Trump son who does anything for the John Voight plays the richest man in the world. Oh,
No,
Aubrey Plaza plays like a Fox reporter who marries ancient John Voight, and it becomes the evilest of them all. And like, it's Aubrey Plaza's moment. She's kind of in every movie right now.
Spotting a trend here, because in The Substance, remember Dennis Quaid plays the villain. And it's interesting to get these Trumpian MAGA people, John Voight, Dennis Quaid, to play the villains, because you are already predisposed to dislike them when they appear on your screen.
Why is it that movies are only judged by their value, by their success? I mean, I guess it's a money-based business, but okay, so he's got the money, he's self-funded. Aren't we all in the self-publishing, self-creating business now?
Exactly. He's just a content creator.
Yeah.
And his history is mega hits and huge flops. That is what he has done.
That's his brand, yes.
But you also get, Platoon out of that. You get like amazing. I'm
excited to see Megalopolis.
Well, but you won't even see The Substance, so I don't know what we're talking about there.
I wish you guys would see it and make me feel smarter. That's what that's what this is about.
Because I listen to Tom, and when Tom says go see something, I listen to it. But apparently, when I say something, Fenton just
when Tom says jump, we say how high.
Exactly.
And when James says it, we say number 9, James.
Number 9.
SNL season 50 started again last week. It came off with a bang. The cold open is usually political, and Maya Rudolph was doing Kamala, and Jim Gaffigan was Tim Walz, and Dana Carvey was Biden. Adam Sandberg was Tom Emhoff. He was absolutely adorable. The guy who usually does Trump was doing Trump, and he's amazing. The one problem I had with it, though, was Bowen Yang, who did J.D. Vance. I love Bowen Yang. I love everything he does. I love him unconditionally. But I thought they could have gone with a funnier person.
Can I just say, though, the entire episode, even though Gene Smart was the guest host and did a lovely job, it was Bowen Yang and the not for ready.
That's what I'm getting to. I think that the JD Vance needs Trixie Mattel eye makeup to sort of get the joke going. I think it needs to like really pound that home. But like you said, it was Bowen's episode. There was one thing that really shocked me was when he was doing the Charlie XCX Brat talk show.
It wasn't very good.
It wasn't very good, but Sarah Sherman is Troye Sivan, and he kept lifting his shirt up and saying "nar, nar." That cracked me up every time. And then when Gene Smart came out as Suzanne Barsh, that just like what? I did not realize that Suzanne was that famous to be skewered on Saturday Night Live. She said that she was flattered and thrilled.
Dare I say it? It was the gayest episode of Saturday Night Live I've ever seen.
Maybe heresy to say, but I read a lot of stuff saying it was just not a good episode, and that Gene Smart just felt wasted and didn't.
Okay, we have to address that first of all, because every time anyone anywhere talks about SNL, the comments are going to be nothing but it hasn't been funny since 1975. It's not funny anymore. It's just terrible. Like no, everybody. That's the cool thing to do, is to get on and bag on. And there's always bright points, and the bright point to me was the Bowen Yang on Weekend Update, where he came out as Moodang the hippo, and that costume was so funny and so good. And about half, and he's talking about how he doesn't like to be, treated like he's in a zoo, and he, his fans are upsetting him. And then halfway through, Colin was like, "This is just Chapel Roan, isn't it?" And suddenly, all of the Chapel Roan fans who had deserted her last week came roaring back in her defense, saying that how dare Bowen Yang do this. And it became this huge scandal where poor Bowen Yang had to come out and say, "Look, I'm a fan. I love her," because he interviewed her in an interview this month, and it was a love fest. And so what he was doing was he was taking her side by comparing her to Moodang, the hippo. But people were saying, "You're comparing a woman to a hippopotamus." Well, no. That's not what he was doing. He was saying that the situation of sudden fame, when it's just thrust on you, can be too much.
It was a little bit of a rough episode. It wasn't perfectly executed. It's the first one of the first season. It's the 50th season, but it was, there were some holes, but there were some funny parts.
But you can almost always count on the cold open. You can almost always count on Weekend Update. Yep. And there's usually a video thing in there that they've had time to perfect that kills. Mm. And by the end of the episode, it usually goes off the rails. But there's always something to cherry pick every episode as far as I know.
3 things. I saw the Saturday Night Live movie
And
Saturday
yeah.
night. It was pretty good. I would definitely recommend going seeing it. Second thing, Chapel Rome performed in my college hometown this Wednesday and brought up the Spirit Squad and the Razorbacks to do Hot to Go, which was really hot.
Okay.
And then number 3, I forgot what it was, but
hey,
Blake
2 out of 3 is not bad.
right.
Okay, stop hitting the gummies so early in the morning, Blake.
All right, so I'll need at some point a Mudang explainer or some sort of briefing, but hold that thought, because number 8, I discovered a new conspiracy theory. Now, I do have a sweet spot for conspiracy theories, I have to say. I just love all the conjecture around them. Disclaimer, though, I don't believe almost all of them. It's
Right.
not. It's more like what it says about us that we would believe such things without evidence.
Right.
Anyway, discovered this new conspiracy that I'd never heard of called the Tartarian Empire.
Oh well, I'm
James is nodding sagely.
Oh, I've been on the Tartarian tip for
Very
Oh,
much
well,
so.
it-
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, go
Is
on.
it related to those giants who live underground that they fit
the
into it?
Lemurians. The Lemurians lived in the Tartarian
Lemurians,
tower.
all right.
No.
So, in a nutshell, and James, you'll correct me when I go too awry, but essentially, this is the QAnon of architecture. And it all sort of begins in this building, which was the tallest ever building, built in 1908. It was the Singer Building, and it was a beautiful tower, 600 feet high, built in 1908, and then demolished, I think, in 1967. So it wasn't up for very long, but it was a beautiful Beaux-Arts skyscraper. And in fact, it is to this day the tallest building ever peacefully demolished. Make that what you will.
It was this in Lower Manhattan. I can't remember.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely, it was. And this sort of megalopolian-like idea, I guess, is that it's people believe that Beaux-Arts, Gilded Age architecture actually were the buildings of a long-lost empire called the Tartarian Empire that ran on free, universally available energy, was a world all about peace, love, and kindness. And then in the Great Reset, which some believe was a giant mud flood, it was all erased. And the World Trade Fairs, you remember these fabulous World Trade Fairs that used to, they used to be the capitals of the Tartarian Empire. And World War I and World War II were all about erasing the last remnants of this empire.
Who is doing the erasing, and is the erasing done to erase the Tartarian Empire, or is there some sort of is there an evil plot to take out the Tartarian memory?
There is, I don't know, but other than the fact that this sort of golden age of beautiful architecture was erased by sort of greed, predatory forces, conflict.
The most gorgeous Beaux-Arts building of all time probably was in New York on Fifth Avenue. It was the Bonwit Teller building, and it was one of the most intricate, beautiful buildings. And guess who destroyed it?
Trump.
To make Trump Tower. And they begged him to at least save some of the Beaux-Arts pieces, and he just had them all smashed and destroyed, like maliciously.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder if Trump is some sort of Illuminati trying to get
some
rid
sort of lizard king,
some sort of lizard king who is trying to illuminate the Tartarian memory.
Setting aside the conspiracy part of it, I read this fascinating article where the writer says that in a way, though, the idea of is a longing for a sort of past, and this is where I wonder, Tom, where it intersects with Megalopolis. It's a longing for a past, a sort of an expression of dis-ease or anxiety with modern architecture, which is embraces simplicity and minimalism. And even though the Tartarians cast this modern architecture as awful, in point of fact, modern architecture, by championing simple, easy to make forms, was actually trying to for the benefit of mankind, although it's been miscast as a sort of boxes and a sort of mindless, rapacious, knock buildings down because they don't make enough money. What is the conflict in Megalopolis? Is something?
It's about staying in the past. It's about staying in the past, exploiting people, versus having a city that will organically grow with people. That will be walkways that bring people to the city. That things will grow to shade you, and it's all made from like Megatron, which is this organically growing material. It's not steel, it's not cement, so you're like fighting with like the old school ways of making money. And Adam Driver's character wins a Pulitzer Prize for it.
Well, that sounds like Howard Rourke or whatever from The Fountainhead.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to think of the future, and someone said, mean people have said that the future, according to Francis Ford Coppola in Megalopolis, looks a lot like the Jetsons.
It sounds sort of like Metropolis meets Anne Ryan.
And people compare it to Metropolis a lot as well.
Yeah, I mean,
it also sounds a bit Tartarian, the sort of aesthetic of it. It's sort of...
the idea of being nostalgic for something that probably never existed or you will never understand or be a part of,
Right.
Nostalgia for something that you never experienced.
But like, I love the idea of fitting into where I'm at, like to accepting my environment and kind of like working within it, versus everybody but me in the world has a kitchen with an island. Like everybody has to have an island in their kitchen. It's just that there's no offense. I'm just saying like that, like it's just there's every generation has a new way of doing things. You have very eclectic taste, Fenton. But people want to tear down and build, or all those boxy houses. We're getting way off topic. But you go around West Hollywood.
Now you're into Blake right here, because Blake loves those remodeling shows. He salivates over that.
And thank God there's different strokes for different folks.
I love a little bit of Beaux-Arts, I have to say. The idea that there was an ancient civilization that disappeared between 1920 and 1960, leaving awful trace. The idea that can actually have currency on the internet, well, perhaps it's not a surprise, but it is a little alarming, I guess.
Fenton, I am not seeing everybody on Instagram and X talking about the Tartarians.
Just wait and see.
It's just
you heard it here first.
I think there was something on a back page in the Guardian.
I tell you, Bowen Yang's going to be doing the Tartarian Empire next week. Let's take a quick break. RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 6, streaming now on Wow Presents Plus, all around the world, except in the UK, where it's on the BBC.
It's being received so well. Big ratings, big reviews. Everyone's loving it.
It's the biggest season yet, Tom. It really is. So it's fantastic of the UK versions. And it's good news, actually, also because RuPaul's DragCon UK, book your tickets now, 2025, January 10th to 11th.
RuPaul'sDragCon.com for your tickets. And I've got a question. Remember earlier whenever I said that I forgot the third thing from the SNL segment?
What was it that Blake forgot?
Well, I really didn't forget it. I just wanted to ask it as a question.
You're so clever.
See?
Goodness.
Now, what business came for SNL after the show poked fun at their seasonal pop-up business style, calling SNL an irrelevant 50-year-old TV show?
Fenton.
I'll tell you. We'll be right back after the break with the answer here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with James and Tom, and of course Blake.
Yes, and I asked, what business came for SNL after their 50th season premiere, where a sketch poked fun at the business's seasonal pop-up style, calling SNL an irrelevant 50-year-old TV show?
I didn't see it, so I'm going to guess it must be Starbucks Pumpkin Spice, maybe?
You're in the right season. You're in the right season. We know, right, James?
Yes.
It's the Halloween stores.
Spirit.
Oh!
Yeah, they did a huge, they did a video thing of Spirits taking over every, old Blockbuster and stuff. And
it pissed Spirit off, or at least the person who runs their social media.
It's so funny because Spirit is probably one of the most mocked businesses on the internet. And yet, this is what they choose to get mad at when everybody makes fun of them.
But the Spirit, they are sort of virally present, right? They're always
Well,
like
they're more than viral. They're like a pernicious disease that comes to that takes over old buildings and recently out of business. Anything that goes out of business, the next day spirit comes and buys it up. I mean, they're terrible. They're like the COVID.
Why are they terrible?
Of
I think
business.
they're taking advantage of space and bringing.
But if you watch Saturday Night Live, you'll see that they come in, they take over, and then they employ you for a month and then kick you out. And no, it doesn't really change anything in the community.
And then they hired like the guy who's on the list, the like sexual predator list.
Yeah, he would ask everyone how old they were. I can't talk to you. Sorry.
We are counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow, and we've reached number 7.
Number 7.
I am seeing more theater, as you know, and I went to the Wallace Annenberg Theater in Beverly Hills, which
I love Wallace. Wallace is one of the chicest women on the planet.
There you go. And it was a preview of a show that's been touring the country. It's about to make its off-Broadway debut. It's called Mama, I'm a Big Girl Now. And it's basically a review with Marissa Jarrett Winokur, Tony winner from Hairspray, Carrie Butler, Broadway baby, who played Penny Pingleton in the original Broadway musical of Hairspray, and Laura Bell Bundy, again, another leading lady from Broadway, who was Amber Von Tussle, the original Amber Von Tussle.
Crazy.
And so they're together. Mama, I'm a Big Girl Now is a song from Hairspray. Mama, I'm a big girl now. Hey, mama. Hey, mama. So they come together. They've known each other for almost 25 years, and they're genuinely friends. So the arc is very simple. It's just them talking about how they met. It's them showing their kids. It's them. At one point, there's an interactive thing where Marissa calls somebody up to do "I Can Hear the Bells." It was the love song from Hairspray. And so she has someone stand there and wherever she goes. But this time, she pulls her husband up, who's a great writer, and it was also sweet. But what you got, what it really is, forget about the construct, the beginning, middle, and end, which was fantastic. It is 3 women still in their prime vocally, belting Broadway show after Broadway show. Maybe that
it isn't just Hairspray songs. It's all songs
because Marissa was the lead in Hairspray. Carrie Butler was the lead in Xanadu.
Xanadu.
Where we first saw Cheyenne Jackson in cutoff shorts and roller skates. That's really where Cheyenne. Laura Bell Bundy was in Legally Blonde. They originated those roles. They've also she was Beetlejuice, Beauty and the Beast, Wicked, Mean Girls. They have played they're Broadway babies. If Broadway performers, to me, are, like I said this before, Olympic athletes. It's like you see them in front of you and they're doing things with their voices that are unbelievable. And they, I was a little annoying to people around me because I move a lot and I sing every now and then. I can't. I just do a little bit of singing. Not a lot, but I try to hold it back. But I got a little look at this guy, and I forget how old I look. But it's coming to New York, and I don't have the dates. So there you have it.
New World Stages, I think, Tom. November 2nd to December the 8th. Number 6, James.
Number 6.
Tom is not the only one who goes to the theater. I went to the theater this past week and had an absolutely wonderful time. I saw Blood Love, an immersive vampire rock opera.
Did you get bitten? Was it that immersive?
I got the bitten by the acting bug is what I got. It's at the Bourbon Room, which is right down the street from World of Wonder. So I was able to park at World of Wonder, which was a plus, walk down the street and go see it. It stars our good friend Danny Francesi, who plays a sleazy rock star manager, and which is he does very well at. It is the story of Valerie Bloodlove, Satan's former queen, who is kicked out of hell and is condemned to wander the earth for eternity, singing and dancing and killing with her 2 friends. But her heart has hardened to the modern times, and she longs to go back to hell. And it is up to her friends to try and convince her the reasons to stay on the earth and keep killing and having fun doing so. And it is done in I don't know, Tom, if you ever saw the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde on Broadway a few years ago, about 10
never
years
did.
ago. It's very much like Nickelback, My Chemical Romance sounding. It's
Okay.
rock. It is rock and roll, and
Yep.
it feels very 2000. But the cast is absolutely delightful. It's sort of in the round a little bit. It's like 3/4 of a round, and they're right there in your face. And I was right in the front row there. And there's these two vampire boys who are in
You
little
knew it
leather
was coming. You knew it was coming, Fenton. You knew it was coming.
They're in these tight little leather pants and no shirts, and they dance, and they are sort of like erotic, like, writhing over each other on the stage. And then all the women come, everyone has like this orgy where they're all writhing and look beautiful. And there's this one little girl, not little, I mean, she's a woman. She's like probably in her 20, but she's diminutive in size, and these two vampire boys keep throwing her around. They just keep tossing her, and at one point they throw her so high that her head almost hit the light on the ceiling. It's this big huge theater, like they throw her like 20 feet in the air, and they catch her, and she does flips and everything like that. And it was just a joy to watch these dancers dance and give it their all in an immersive vampire opera. And it started at Joe's Pub in New York, and so it is here for the spooky season. It ends on November 2nd, and it is available. Tickets online. Blood/love.
Love.
I get it. It's slash.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, why is it called blood?
Blood/love. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Well, James, it says it's at the Crimson. Is that at the Bourbon Room?
Well, that's what I was confused about too. Should I say the Bourbon Room or the Crimson Room? But I think it takes place within a nightclub.
That's what I was thinking.
Is that a club called the Crimson Blood? Crimson Blood.
That's the fictional part, but it's at the Bourbon in real life on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
Which also hosts, they had Drag the Musical there. It's another great performance space. We're lucky to have it.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but Drag the Musical, is opening off Broadway, and Liza Minnelli signed on as the producer.
Liza Minnelli. I love that they're like, Liza Minnelli's back on Broadway as a producer of the Drag the Musical. But still exciting.
But that is a really, imagine you're Alaska and you're working on a play and Liza Minnelli. It's a dream come true. So so have fun with that, Alaska. And
terrific.
Terrific. Yeah.
Number 5.
Number 5.
I don't want to change the tone, but I do. The devastation of Hurricane Helene is extraordinary, and I think it took so many people by surprise, and it sort of happened, and then it was like, oh wow, it was massive in terms of the damage it did, and it sort of news of that trickled out, and just thinking of all the people in Asheville, which is in North Carolina, which I guess people for some reason thought it was a safe haven from climate change, but clearly is not.
Well, the idea that a hurricane could affect so devastatingly mountain regions in, North Carolina, in Tennessee, in Kentucky. I mean, it is sort of an unprecedented event that they would have to deal with so much destruction.
We're still finding out the devastation because communication and roads have been cut off, and there's no internet. And so all the things we rely on to communicate haven't even come through yet. I mean, there's good reporting, but it's
the stories are just horrific. I'm sorry, Fenton, to have taken.
No. I mean, absolutely. Actually, this is something that we could really do with and really need, which is, I came across this thing on Instagram that sort of appeared to be a disaster theme park, kind of like a theme park or like a sort of Instagram place, but it's actually a safety learning center. And this one is in Tokyo. It's a Honjo Life Safety Learning Center. And the reason I say it's like a theme park is because you enter the building, and then on every floor, you experience a different disaster, which sounds, don't get me wrong, maybe it sounds ghoulish or sensationalist, but
it sounds a little bit like World of Wonder headquarters, but keep going.
The mission is to teach you what to do in situations should you get overtaken by disaster. So there is, for example, on the first floor, a realistic earthquake simulation. And you learn about the havoc wreaked by earthquakes and the skills you need in an emergency. Then you move on to another floor, and there's an urban flooding section, how to deal with torrential downpours, how to protect yourself in a tsunami situation. And you literally wade through, they will put you in rushing water and simulations. It's to give you an experiential, really useful takeaway in terms of how to do it, because it does seem as if more and more we are all going to have to learn in climate change to deal with disasters, which may not just be floods and hurricanes. It may be fires as a result, or, you know, we're so dependent. Right.
There was a saying about LA, because earthquakes were top of mind for a long time, but now it's a lot of other things. But they said the idea of you dying in a major earthquake in LA are remote, but the idea of you living through one is quite realistic. So it's like, it is like, be prepared for anything now. I have a big electric battery, like a big, like, car battery I bought that I have plugged in as my generator.
You don't want to know what's next to my bed. I have spoons, I have flashlights, I have rubber boots, I have a pot to catch rainwater.
Is that what you use it for, or is that your excuse?
How dare you?
What are the spoons for? What are the spoons for?
Eating, of course.
Out for eating, but if you have to dig your way out, you need spoons, like to get to move dirt.
Okay.
Not a shovel?
No shaming here, James. It sounds like your apartment could be turned into a disaster center where children can come and usefully learn skills.
You can fall through the floor.
Invited to come stay in my studio when D-Day comes.
I think we should take a break. Touch-Ups with Raven is now streaming on Wow Presents Plus. Episode 1 features Laura Cheney, filmed live at DragCon. Select Drag Race queens joined Raven to kiki and talk. It says shit here, Blake. I can't say shit. SH.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want on that.
Sign up at wowpresentsplus.com.
Well, now, wait, hold on a second, because I do just want to say that, but I'm not crazy, because they do say that the one thing that you be most aware of during an earthquake is that you want to have shoes next to your bed, because most people run out of bed into broken glass and all that stuff. So my rubber boots are to wade
the
through
boots.
the mud.
I understand, but I guess you use the spoon as a little bit of a shoe tree, a little shoe.
Yeah,
shoe. I thought it was like a pick you up, or like quick.
Not anymore.
Yeah, it is, but with soup.
Actually, the other safety tip, about shoes too, James, on a plane, do not remove your shoes till you have reached cruising altitude and put them on as they begin their descent.
Why is that?
Because in a plane crash, you're most likely to survive. Most people survive plane crash. The issue then becomes getting off the plane. And if you're scrabbling around looking for your shoes, that is not a good look.
Yeah, okay.
A stewardess, please leave me my spoon. Thank you.
You know what? Let's go to a break. We'll be right back after the break here on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with James and Tom and Blake.
Yeah.
We're counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow, and we've reached number 4.
Number 4.
James and I have been texting back and forth, because this is often number 4 is where I do my rest in peace to some celebrity that's touched us, moved us, that we have some memories, some fond memories of. So many celebrities passed away this week.
It was insane.
It's insane. And I'm going to go through 7 of them. So please bear with me. And I don't mean to do disservice to any of them, but it's a great replay of this week and how day after day, hour after hour. So first of all, Dame Maggie Smith.
I cried. I literally woke up and started crying.
The interesting thing about Maggie Smith is she's had such an incredible long storied career that people are like, oh my God, Harry Potter, which she was in. Oh my God, Downton Abbey, which she was the Dowager Countess of Grantham. My first thought was, and I knew all those things, Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. Mm-hmm. She won an Oscar for it in 1970. It's when Carol Burnett had her on the show. They became friends. I became aware of. And fun little fact, when RuPaul says, bring back my gills, he is imitating the Miss Jean Brodie. My gills, with their Scottish accent.
but Maggie Smith is somebody whose movies I watched with my mother. California Suite.
Yep.
So many of them. I can't even think right now but I watched Downton Abbey. My mother and I would call each other and not talk, and we would talk during but we would watch it together every single week. So that one really hit me hard.
Maggie Smith the interviewers would ask her, the biggest phenomenon in the world, Downton Abbey, which sort of destroyed her anonymity. They go, did you ever watch it? She's like, no, I didn't. She goes, I have the box set. I have the box set, but she was lovely. I also got to see her in her last stage performance when I was in 2019, when I was in the UK for a drag race in the German. The German citizen, anyway, I'm terrible.
But I do want to say my two favorites. I'm so sorry, you can cut this, whatever, but just my two favorites: Travels with My Aunt and The Lonely Passion of Judith Hearn, where she plays a spinster. She's so good at spinsters. She's descending into alcoholism. Yes. It is one of the most bleakest performances ever committed to film. Great actress, great person. Moving on. Kristofferson. It's hard to remember. He was such a sex symbol in the 70s, an incredible, but first and foremost, an incredibly talented songwriter. Sunday Morning Coming Down, done by Johnny Cash. Help Me Make It Through the Night, which someone, take the ribbon from your hair, lay it loose and let it fall. People attribute him to bringing sex to country music. And also Me and Bobby McGee was his creation. The Janis Joplin had the huge hit with it. Freedom's just another word for Nothing Left to Lose. He co-starred with Barbra Streisand in A Star Is Born. He did lots of movies. I saw him last at the Willie Nelson 90th birthday party, where he had a lot of dementia, but he and Roseanne Cash, who was his daughter Johnny Cash, sang a song together, and it was quite lovely and touching. And this was shocking news because both those people were older. Gavin Creel, a true, died at the age of 48. And you realize what a community Broadway is, because everybody in my feed had just the night, not only his talent, which was abundant. He won a Tony for his portrayal in Hello, Dolly recently. He originated roles in Thoroughly Modern Millie, Into the Woods, Hair. But the outpouring of love, I can only imagine what he gave this world, because it's just like people are just bent over in grief. When it's the young generation, it's Jonathan Groff, Cheyenne Jackson, all these people. It's Bette Midler, it is Bernadette Peters, it is Patti LuPone. And to live your life so that there is nothing but just this outpouring of love for you when you are gone, was unbelievable to see how beloved he was.
And speaking of Broadway, Ken Page, I wasn't aware of, but he was in the original productions of The Wiz, Ain't Misbehaving. He originated the role of Old Deuteronomy in Cats. He voiced Oogie Boogie in The Nightmare Before Christmas, and he played Harvey Fierstein's best friend in the movie of Torch Song Trilogy, and had this long, wonderful career, and defined some Hollywood roles. And again, it was just like a whole other section of Broadway was sort of affected. And then, and James sent me this, John Amos, the great actor John Amos, who played Kunta Kinte's dad in Roots, who played Gordy the Weatherman in the Mary Tyler Moore Show for the first couple seasons, and of course was the father on Good Times. And I've been watching all these Good Times clips, and I'm not to be dirty, but like I used to bank memories of what John Amos looked like in my little pubescent head in order to reach certain places when I was alone. So talented. He's also in Coming to America. And I just found out this morning his last role is in a show that Suits LA, is going to premiere on NBC shortly, and he has a role that was going to become a recurring role. So there's still one more John Amos performance to see. And then last, and maybe least of this group, but Pete Rose, the great baseball player for the Cincinnati Reds, who in the 70s was embroiled in gambling. He was gambling against his own team or for his own team, and he never got to the Baseball Hall of Fame. He never showed remorse, but I remember him most for being in the original jockey underwear ads in the 1970s. Jim Palmer became the number one guy, the only guy, but they started off with like a Hollywood Squares, like 9 pictures, and they were all in different colorful jockey underwear when everyone was wearing white that I knew. And Jim Palm was in the Allants, and Pete Rose, who was just a goony looking guy, but was wearing like plaid, like tartan underwear, looked ridiculous. But again, I spent a little time up here in my head as an adolescent. So I've done none of those people justice, but what a week of loss and what contributions all these people made to our psyche, to our pop culture, to our sports. God bless them and may they rest in peace.
Beautifully said. James, number 3.
Number 3.
I'm going to continue on because we did lose one more other person too that I want to talk about. Drake Hogestyn, the soap star who was on Days of Our Lives. John and Marlena. He was on 4,200 episodes of the show.
Days of Our Lives.
Of Days of Our Lives, and he died one day before his 71st birthday. He was, by all accounts, beloved by the cast, by any fan who ever approached him. He was just one of the good guys. He started on the show as the pawn, as Stefano's pawn. He was an amnesiac who was used as a killer for hire. And then it was revealed that he was actually Roman Brady back from the dead, but he had amnesia. And then when the real Roman Brady came back from the dead, it was revealed that he was Father John Black, who was a priest. And so then he was a priest for a while. Then he became designer, and then he was a spy, and then over the course he had a magazine for many years, Basic Black. He did a lot of things on the show, but he was almost always with his beloved doc Marlena Evans, played by Deirdre Hall. The two were a soap super couple up there with Luke and Laura, and it was just they are legendary, and the fans went it was one of those things where my feed was nothing but clips from Days of Our Lives going back to the 80s. He also was the inspiration for Joey's character, Dr. Drake Ramore, on Friends. And if you remember that, the Drake, the same name. But famously, Joey talks about smell the fart acting, where the camera is lingering on you and you have to pretend like you smell a fart. And you raise your eyes and you look around, and John, that is basically John's acting style, Drake Hogestyn's acting style. He was famous for his fake looking for the fart accent.
It's like the famous look that they give on the Californians after they say everything,
where they sort of like look around like they're smelling something bad. And he was not a great actor, I am sorry to say, but he was an iconic soap actor, and he was great known for his hairdo, which was a mullet for 30 years, and that looked like a wig. I'm sorry, and the way he was able to raise that one eyebrow.
James, when I die, I hope it's going to get all glowing right up.
He won't be as nice.
But like I said, and that's another show. I watched it with my mom for 20 years, and I would go over to her. We would watch it together. And so to have him go, the thing about soap stars is they come into your house every day, and they are a part of your life, and they are in the TV, and you go through things with them. It's not like a movie or a TV show.
Yeah.
Like, they become a part of your life. And so much of my life is tied to what Laura was doing on General Hospital, what Erica was doing on All My Children. You know what I mean? Like, I remember
it's impossible to let young people know today how juicy and warm and gooey you get to feel when you talk about an old soaps character.
And it's such a generation joiner, because you watch it with your grandmother, you watch it with your mother, you watch it with, it's something that, and then when you go to college, you organize your classes around it so that you can all sit in the, in the dorm rooms and watch it together. So rest in peace, Drake Hogestyn.
All right. Rest in peace. Number 2. I actually was going to talk about something else, but James, you prompted something, that this smelling a fart thing. Did you read, this could be very, very brief, but did you read Barry Sonnenfeld just talking about Will Smith?
Yes, yeah.
And saying that the one place you do not want to be on set is in an enclosed space with Will Smith, because he farts. And he says, I was like, is this AI playing up again in my feed? Says that they had to evacuate the set for 3 hours once.
And someone said after that, they said, well, first of all, that sounds like it's a digestive issue. It sounds like it's an actual problem, like with his GI tract. And the other thing that it makes me think, and I'm sorry, I'll let you go on in just a second, that the nerve, the hubris, the conceit that it takes, that I'm just going to fart in people's faces and not give a fuck. that you can just sit there on set and fart away means that you think like that you are something special and that everyone needs to like just put up with your shit literally coming out of your ass, or else it just shows to me
it's the manifestation. It's a manifestation of a star syndrome, right?
It is. It's narcissism, pure and simple.
Well, that's number poo from me. And let's take a quick break, a bathroom break. When we come back, the number one thing this week that made us go,
wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with Blake and Tom and James. We've been counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow. And we've reached number one.
Number one.
It was the debates for me. I wasn't going to watch it. I got sucked into it. I had to. What did you guys think?
No harm was done. I thought Tim was nervous, but you know, I'd rather have someone nervous telling the truth than there's so many and there's so many people who are like that. JD Vance is like the guy who comes out from finance while you're buying a car and like, you know, smartly makes you like add on like extra things. He's a master liar.
And he only talks to the husband.
Yes, and he only talks to the husband. Yes, but he's a master liar. He, you know, why we have debates, I don't know, because the moderators do not seem capable or able in the format to actually counter them. There was that moment where they fact checked him on, you know, the Haitian. By the way, the Haitians, you know,
are legal.
Are here under legally, and the great meme from that. And I guess it all comes down to what memes come out of this. And the meme that I have up that I love is him saying, you know, the reporter saying, by the way, these Haitians are here illegally. And then him going, hey, I thought we weren't going to fact check, you know, and that's really where it's at. And I just really,
the Prince of Darkness, no question, because I actually felt that camera angle really was good for him. He looked
I mean, good.
I was like I loathe the person. The lies and the mendacity and the deceit and the sort of, but it was a transfixing image, and I just felt it was such an unfair advantage. And the goal to sort of say, oh, I thought we weren't going to fact check, and then that whole idea previously in that other interview where he's like, well, if I have to lie to get people's attention, that's what but
in the takeaway that the Republicans have learned to do is when he's asked point blank, do you think that January 6th happened? And he said, well, I want to talk about the future, blah, blah, blah. And that's a damning non-answer. But the fact is that that's what they do, that they will not answer a question. If they don't want, if they're not going to, they will just.
Oh, I mean, not to veer off, but just catching, walking in and out of the room, the coverage on CNN of the publication of the indictment, the January 6th stuff. I was shocked at like some of the batshit points of view being given a platform to, you know,
they keep giving that Scott Jennings a platform, which is just bonkers. The bald guy a platform, and I'm sorry, even David Axelrod has gone to the dark side, and I know he was an Obama guy. I do just want to say very quickly though that the one thing that kept striking me more than his pink lipstick and his guyliner, Captain Guyliner. I'm talking about the hillbilly Hitler here. I'm talking about Vladimir Futon. But
you know, he's transsectional.
But he wore a pink tie, which, if you know anything about the debates about politics, is that there were meetings, there were discussions about the optics, there were Zoom meetings about what you wear, every single detail of the hair length, all that.
What does it mean, James? Then,
well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is it a way to differentiate yourself from Trump, who is always in the blue suit and the red tie, and every other MAGA Republican wears the blue suit and red tie in fealty to him? And it makes me think, I've been seeing this, my conspiracy theories that I've fallen down the rabbit hole is that, you know, Peter Thiel is appointed JD Vance to be the heir apparent, and they want to get rid of Donald Trump as soon as they can and install him as president. And it makes me think that this is his way of saying, I am not Donald Trump. I am not going to be, I am my own person. And also possibly I'm reaching out to women. Who wore the pink hats in the women's march, and it was the exact same color as the women's hats. I'm thinking that he's trying to do some sort of, there was something about it, because no Republican ever has worn pink ever, because it's a wussy color, it's a homo color, it's a woman's color. So there was definite thinking behind a pink tie.
Well, that's grim.
Food for thought.
But mark my words, Peter Thiel is one of the scariest people on the planet. And if you remember, Fenton, I know you and Tom probably just remember him as the thin-skinned billionaire who closed down Gawker because they made a joke about him. And who would have thought that he would become the most powerful person on the planet?
Well, yeah, I read this fascinating article that actually Eric Trump Jr. is the one who wanted JD Vance because they're really good friends, and that actually Vance, along with Musk, is really, they're the stepping stones to establishing a Trump dynasty, family dynasty. Anyway, this is Tom, you always say something in these moments of,
I'm hoping that love wins. I'm hoping that joy wins. I'm hoping that common sense wins. Everybody and I'm not overly confident about any of it. I'm very nervous, and everyone has to, a blue wave will only happen if blue people go out and vote. So please vote, please vote, please vote. And I think my ballot's already arrived. I don't know when early voting starts, but in some places it's already started. And you can go to vote.gov if you're not sure and find out your status and find out where you're doing that, and vote.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, James. Thank you, Blake. And thank you for listening. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow.